Well, I mean, let's talk about this NFL thing. This 18 game season because I mean, it looks like it's going to happen. And and there's no doubt that the owners want more. There's no doubt that everybody wants more except the players. And from what I've heard, the fans are split. That might not be true, but from just what I've heard 50-50. I mean, you would think from a fan standpoint, though, it's a great thing. More games, more NFL games. Why wouldn't we want to watch? People think it's going to taint the sport, and it's going to water it down. It's not going to be as exciting. But I mean, you're already watching those games essentially in preseason anyway, and that's exciting. We watch preseason football for the most part. We joke about how it's not exciting and this pointless and things like that, but we're still talking about it. Okay, because when hockey is coming up around the corner and baseball is going on, I hear preseason football talk on sports radio talk all the time, and I can't stand it. So it is popular. So to make two of those games actually count, how is that going to hurt the sport? How is that going to water it down? It's not. It didn't water it down 30 years ago when they upped the schedule. Then it's not going to maybe 40 years ago, I guess maybe it been, but it's not going to hurt it now. Okay, I don't know back then what happened because I'm 26 right now, but I just know that more is better for the owners, but of course for the players. Are they getting more money? No. Are they getting more? Are they getting more? Medical coverage? Probably not. So obviously you can see why the players would be upset when, in the first place, it feels that they're getting shortchanged as it is. I mean, for goodness sake, a couple of years ago, J.D. Drew was making more money than Tom Brady. J.D. Drew was making more money than Tom Brady. Yes, go ahead and throw up and then come back and we'll talk. But that's the reality of it, okay? It is almost disturbing at some of the salaries in other leagues compared to the NFL. And I know you want to say it's an 11-man roster or an 11-man starting lineup and a much bigger roster, so that's why there's more costs and everything. But you got to be kidding me. I mean, the NFL is so powerful. These owners are richer than rich can be. The market is unbelievable. Can we get these players a little bit more money? And now, I don't make any money, for God's sake. I make almost nothing. And, for one of these players who's poor and he's not really making a lot of money, I would take that any day. I'd play football for $50,000 a year at this point for 10 years. But that's beside the point. I'm just comparing it to the other sports, and the pay scale is unbelievable, especially when you think that, in baseball, what do? You get up and you swing the bat at a ball. You throw the ball. If you're a pitcher, you field the ball. I mean, when do really injuries don't happen the way they do in football? At least they're not career-threatening like they are in football. You get a concussion or a few concussions or certain, injuries, and it just shortens your career even quicker. The average career is 3, 4, 5 years in the NFL. Baseball, you can play for 15 years. NHL, you can even play for 20 years. For God's sake, Mark Recchi's playing on the Bruins right now. Mark Recchi was playing hockey when I was 5. I remember Mark Recchi when I was a little tiny kid. And now I'm 26, and the guy's still playing. But in football, it's over. You're elite or you're gone. There's no place for a variable game in football for the most part. Where in hockey, there's experience, there's leadership. They can still contribute somehow. But so I understand. So the players have a small window where they need to collect their money and they need to play football and they need to get the heck out of there, or they have to get the heck out of there. And now what do? So compared to the other sports, all I'm saying is, if you're gonna add more, let's they need to restructure something a little bit, just a little bit, just give the players something. And or we're not going to have football, that might not we might not have football. You know, in my time at 26, I've seen a baseball lockout and a hockey lockout, and we are on the brink of a football NFL lockout. I know nobody wants to talk about this when we're in the 4th week of football right now, but it's got to be talked about at some point, and that's the last I'll speak of it. Okay, right now, just keep it in the back of your mind until the off season, and then we'll talk about it. That is the last I'll mention of a lockout in football, I promise. That being said, the Green Bay and the Bears game the other night, wow, that was pretty good. You know, that might be the biggest blunder by a team in a long time that I've seen, except for the Patriots in the Super Bowl a few years back against the Giants. Although the Giants, I'll tell you what, in that game, I don't want to get off on 2 different subjects like I usually do, but I'll tell you what, the Giants had something going on that night. Patriots were playing at level 10, and the Giants turned it up to 11. And the Patriots weren't told that 11 was on the dial. But it happened. But anyway, going back to that night last night, I'll tell you what, Green Bay just gave that game away. Gave it away like it was it was like I watched the whole game. Clearly Green Bay just seemed like the better team, like they were going to win. They seemed to be doing everything right. And then at the end, it just towards the half and then on, especially in the 4th quarter, it was like, no, we found out the kid has Down syndrome. Let's just cut it right there. That's what they did. I know that's harsh, but that's what happened. And that's all we got for right now. We'll be right back after this, and we'll get back to